the What Bitcoin Did podcast.
Hi there from Bedford. How are you all? Welcome to the What Bitcoin Did podcast, which is brought to you by Kraken. I'm your host, Peter McCormack, and today I've got a really special interview with the Mallas family. I've got Bitcoin Mom, Bill and Jack on to discuss Bitcoin and the cannabis industry. But before that, I've got a message from my show sponsors. So, first up, today's show is brought to you by BlockFi, and tomorrow I'm flying back out to the States. Got another couple of weeks out there for a whole bunch of interviews and meetings and things going on. But while I'm out there, I'm going to be meeting up with Zach from BlockFi and Jeremy Welch from Casa to discuss their new partnership. Have you heard about this? They had the announcement recently that BlockFi and Casa are going to be working together, and their partnership allows for BlockFi clients to have access to both market-leading financial services and secure self-custody solution. Through the partnership, clients will be able to access Casa's multi-sig software for long-term savings and security, so this is pretty cool. Two of my favorite companies in the space working together, totally badass, and through the partnership, BlockFi clients are eligible for a $50 off a Casa node, which includes the gold subscription. They can get $200 off their first year of Casa Platinum with 3 of 5 Key Shield multi-sig, and $500 off the first year of Casa Diamond with 3 of 5 Shield and full team support. Additionally, Casa members are eligible for reduced rates on BTC-backed loans at BlockFi and additional 10% interest each month on Bitcoin interest accounts at BlockFi's current rate of 6% annual interest, which will mean Casa clients are eligible to earn 6.6% annual interest. Neither Casa nor BlockFi are earning profits directly from this partnership. Instead, they're passing it on to their clients. This is so cool. I love both companies. I love Zach and I love Jeremy. I think this is amazing. So I can't wait to talk to them both about this. But if you are interested in trying it out, I recommend you do your own research and then head over to blockfi.com, which is BLOCKFI.com. This show is also brought to you by the amazing and epic Kraken, who are without doubt the best crypto exchange in the world. It's the only one I use now for buying my Bitcoin. It's the only one I use for selling my Bitcoin. But what are you using? Which exchange are you using? I'd love to know who you're using and why. And also, as part of this trip out to the States, I'm going to be meeting up with Nick Pokoko, who's Kraken's Chief Security Officer. We're going to talk all things crypto security, and it's something we've been trying to get in the diary for ages. It's now booked. It's now going to be happening. It's going to be an amazing show, so I can't wait to get it out for you. Also, have you checked out Kraken's range of companies and products? Because they're not just an exchange. They've got Kraken Security Labs, which is their dedication to improving security across the industry. I'm going to be talking to Nick about that. You've got the Kraken OTC desk for large trades with private and personalized services. They've got Crypto Watch, where you can trade on multiple crypto exchanges from a single platform. And they also offer margin trading, futures and indices. If you're a trader, Kraken have got your backs covered with everything. So come on, join me in supporting Kraken. Head over to kraken.com, which is KRAKEN.com. Okay, so on to my interview with the Mallas family, and this one was a lot of fun. This was great. I had already previously recorded with Jack as part of my Lightning Month when I was at the Bitcoin Expo at MIT, and we discussed the idea of doing a Mallas family show. So Jack invited me up to Boulder to do this, and then when I was in San Francisco, I finally got to meet Brooke, the amazing Bitcoin mom, who I think within Bitcoin is everyone's mom. Gotta say, I absolutely love Brooke. And I talked to her about the idea that I'd had with Jack, and yes, she invited me out as well, so I booked a flight as part of the trip. I headed out to Boulder and I recorded a show with the three of them. I do have a deep interest in the cannabis industry. While I'm not really a smoker myself anymore, it's something I did maybe as a kid, I do think it's quite ridiculous for cannabis to still be deemed illegal. It was also my re-entry back into Bitcoin in late 2016 when I wanted to buy a treatment for my mother when she was dying from cancer. So I clearly have an interest in this industry because I do see the medicinal benefits, but I do see other benefits. And also, it's just ridiculous that a plant can be illegal. Anyway, Brooke and Bill took me to their dispensary and, for research purposes, I partook in a little testing of the product. I did that during the show, which was kind of funny. But yeah, look, the show was a lot of fun to record. The family is amazing. They've got a really great bond and they really welcomed me into their home and then took me out for dinner. And I've got to say, just a huge thanks to them. Their hospitality was amazing. And I hope you enjoy the show. I mean, I really enjoyed making it. But if you do have any questions about it, you can reach out to me. My email address is hello@whatbitcoindid.com. Also, I just need to let you know I was meant to be attending BitBlock Boom in August, but I've had to pull out. I've been traveling so much this year and my kids have been really patient and I just want to spend some time with them over the holiday. So I need to say a big sorry to Gary because he asked me quite early on and I did commit to doing it. And he's doing a great job of putting this event together. But yeah, I've had to pull out. So I'm very sorry about that. He has, though, offered a discount code. So if you want 30% off a ticket, use WBD. And yeah, you should definitely check the event out. It looks pretty cool. Anyway, so on to the interview with Brooke, Bill, and Jack. As I said, if you've got any questions, you can reach out to me. And yeah, I just hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. So we've got wine, we've got meat, we've got cheese, we've got some weed, we've got the whole Mallas family.
Don't forget the Bitcoins. We got Bitcoin.
We got Bitcoins. Mm-hmm. We've got Ethereum.
Oh, no. Nope.
Actually, a little.
Have you?
Bitcoin mom.
Shitcoin mom. Shitcoin mom.
Shitcoin mom is the greatest trader of all time.
Someone paid us with Ethereum at the store. So we have Ether.
Made a few sales.
Yep.
All right. So I'm speaking with my mouth full here.
That's fine.
I want to go back. There's two things I want to do early. I want to do early Bitcoin. Were you both in Bitcoin when you first met, or was it one of you got the other into it?
Yeah, it was Bill.
Bill's
tipping his head. Yeah, do you want to tell them how you got into Bitcoin?
Like, I would never have understood it. I don't have a background in cryptography, or my politics don't overlap with it. So it is doubtful I would have found it in 2013 if it hadn't been for that Liberty Blitz newsletter.
And that was during the Cyprus.
It was right after Cyprus, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's about April 2013. Yeah.
And Jack was telling me there's a whole history to the Mallas family, right? A deep financial connection in Chicago.
It's true.
No, it is. My father was chairman of the Chicago Board of Trade. He was, at the time, the youngest chairman in 1969. And his generation of exchange leadership really ushered in financial futures. It was all pork bellies, wheat, corn, beans. My dad came up in the wheat pit. Those guys I really admire, and I see so many parallels between that generation of exchange ownership and, what we're seeing now, in crypto is just an ability to take on, put it this way, if I'd asked you where you thought stock index futures would take off, New York, right? Maybe London, and certainly not next to the pork belly pit, but I remember, when T-bonds got big, we traded them right in the soybean pit. So I don't know. I just grew up around a lot of financial innovation. That's kind of how we got here.
Yeah.
Then you started your firm, your discount brokerage, and
yeah, in 1984. Yeah, discount was the rage. My dad and his friends used to say, you want to stay ahead of what's going to happen in futures. Watch the trends in securities. And that was in the 80s was when discount, Charles Schwab and stuff was starting to take, a lot of business away from the more traditional hand-holding full service firms. And so my dad and his friends were like, this is going to be the next trend, but they frequently had conflicts. It's hard to maintain your current business and then open a deep discount that's a lot cheaper than what you're charging current. So they wanted to be a part of it, but they didn't want the name associated with it. So it was, they set me up, and I got my mentorship and education from a really innovative generation of Chicago traders.
yeah.
Where did you meet Bill?
We were fixed up. We're both divorced. We have a blended family. We were fixed up in 2005, and Bill has 4 kids. So Jack has 3 siblings on his side. I have 2 kids on my side. And the joke was when Susie said, you got to meet Brooke, you'll really like her, but you know what? Don't tell her how many kids you have. On the first date,
that's a lot of work.
Tell her about Jack.
Don't tell her that you're Jack's dad.
Oh,
I was in the same grade as her son.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Don't just tell her that you're a really good trader and you live right off the lake.
Right. Exactly. Just like maybe, on subsequent dates, if it looks like it's working, then you can say, oh, I didn't tell you about Sean. I didn't tell you about May.
See, actually, I've got 12 kids, but I've only introduced her to 4, so I'm easing her in.
Yeah, exactly. And so people will be like, nowadays, or maybe a little while when they were younger, because all the kids, this blended family, they're all 1 year apart.
Okay.
So there is a certain period of the year during a certain birthday. If you said, how old are your kids? I'd say 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, but people would be like, "You have 6 kids?" And Bill would always say, "Yeah, she's crazy."
Do you remember the first date?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, we were supposed to go see The Aviator, right?
Mm-hmm.
The movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Still got the ticket stubs.
Still got the stubs.
Never went.
Yeah. Yeah, we went up for dinner.
Uh-huh.
It was a huge snowstorm in Chicago, and we ended up staying. We went at 6, and it was funny. I didn't know what he looked like, so I got out of my car, and there was a guy who parked a few cars behind me, who was sort of like boxing into the air. I was like, "Oh, that's not that guy. That's weird. What's he doing?" And it was
that guy.
Yeah, it was so.
Probably nervous.
Well, that wasn't the first date. Sorry, the first real date was the Aviator movie, but we had the lunch date. Yeah. So.
Were you in Bitcoin back then?
No, it wasn't
No.
invented
No,
yet.
yeah, he was in 2005.
Was it 2005? Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
I used to put on my Twitter description used to say 15 years Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like as a joke. And these people are like, "You have to give me 15 years Bitcoin. He's 10 years old, you fucking idiot." And I'm like, "That's a joke, dude." All right. Okay. So 2005 you met.
Yep.
Bunch of stuff happens. And then Bitcoin comes along. Bill, you find it first, right?
I did. I kind of pride myself on finding unique gifts. And
Yes.
I like, what am I going to get? Cookie. First of
Sorry,
all,
that's my nickname, Cookie.
Cookie.
first of all, she's a jewelry designer, so you can't get her a ring or anything. Right. So you can't get her jewelry. And I had heard about it through, through Liberty Blitz. And I go, this is going to be a cool gift. So I bought a 5 lot in like summer of 2013, but your birthday wasn't for another 4 or 5 months. And, there's no way I'm going to make it that long. This is too much fun. You know how that feeling when you first discover it. So I think I jumped the gun on your birthday by a few months.
No, he vomited it all to me in this 1-hour session where my head was spinning, and I'm like, okay. He's like, that's proof of work. It's brilliant. And think of tree rings. It's like, anyway, because you really there weren't that many books to learn about Bitcoin back in the summer of 2013. But you did. I think you found like a Bitcoin for Dummies book that was actually published, and you read whatever you could.
Well, basically, just watching Andreas videos.
No, we don't know about Andreas. In fact, I always like to say that, Bitcoin is exciting because, we kind of got, interested in it as a speculative thing because the price kept going up at that time. And then Silk Road went down, and then in early October of that year, and then the price started to really climb later that month, early November, and there were going to be these congressional hearings, the first ones that I know of, to discuss Bitcoin. And so Bill, he's already vomited about Bitcoin. We talked, I'm learning a little bit about it. I'm thinking of it more of like, oh, wow, this thing is going up in price. This is cool. And he's like, I got this great idea. I opened a Twitter account for you. You're going to be Bitcoin mom. Too many kids, not enough Bitcoin. And I'm like, what? And he said, okay, or you could be, I opened this account, the Bitcoin MILF. What would you like? and I'm like, well, I'm certainly not doing that.
Some context. Back then, Bitcoin was the least wholesome thing you could think of. So I would try to personalize it a little bit. You don't have to be, a Silk Road customer or trying to evade capital controls in Cyprus.
Or end the Fed.
Or you don't have to. I don't want to end the Fed. I'm from the era where the Fed, where Volcker's Fed and Greenspan's Fed were really well regarded. I've never come from that side of Bitcoin, but I have come from a business where you got to give margin calls and you need the money in an hour. And that's a really hard thing to do through the banking system. Yeah. And I was just fascinated by the fact that I could wave a phone at a QR code and get almost instant money transferred. That's my background.
So the Bitcoin Mom account on Twitter was meant to sort of combat all the stereotypes that were really coming into more national focus of, is Bitcoin just for terrorists or drug dealers or money launderers or whatever? It's like, no, you're Bitcoin mom.
Moms can use it.
Moms hold the purse strings. Moms shop with it. And this was the era where we really thought that merchant adoption was going to be the major catalyst for Bitcoin adoption. So there was Bitcoin Black Friday.
Remember that? You were supposed to, go to your grocery store and nag the eye to, accept
Take
Bitcoin. Merchant adoption. And I don't know why that has faded.
No, we do know. Because of Jack's
store value
efforts.
more of,
Right. We discovered, I think as a community, we all learned together. As Bitcoin's evolved, nobody knows what it is. I mean, doesn't Jameson Lobb have that great piece about
the CoinDesk article?
The one about nobody understands Bitcoin. Yeah. And we're all evolving to learn what it is. And unfortunately, during the way, you're going to have civil wars. You're going to have people split off ideologically. But back to that time, I remember asking Bill, like, what am I going to tweet about? And he's like, am I going to tweet about shopping? I'm a former academic, and I kind of pride myself on, deeper thought. But I did. I tried to tweet about shopping. My first tweet was my first Bitcoin transaction. Shout out Connie Galippi.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. So Bill's like, I'm going to show you how to send Bitcoin. And I sent, it was a quarter of a Bitcoin to BitGive Foundation. And so that was all part of it. It was pretty exciting.
Who has more followers, Jack? You or Mum?
He does know.
It's close.
Do I really?
You do. Yeah.
But who's higher on Hive 1? I think it's you.
I think we're like really close. I haven't checked lately.
Your Hive 1's where they rank you in terms of influence. It's funny.
Oh, really?
It's like
I think your Mum's higher.
Is she?
Deservingly
so, man.
Hard to promote Bitcoin for the first 3 years. And then Jack comes along and like sales pest.
Well,
no, just kidding.
I noticed Bill there today. You chirped into a conversation about.
No, that's
I can tell you. I don't know who's got more followers, but when I used to go to Bitcoin conventions, Mallas, are you Brooke's husband? And now the last one I went to, Mallas, any relation to Jack?
Yeah.
So I think I don't know about followers, but I think Jack might have surpassed you.
Oh no, Jack, you are.
But you're the quiet one because you're there with like your 123 followers.
He is the quiet one, and he's a snark. He's only snarky on Twitter.
He's like the in the movies where there's so much happening, chaos and fighting and loving, and you're like, how is this all happening? And then it pales to like the guy in the dark room who's got all of the video screens up, who's pulling all the strings. No, I mean that's him, right?
Yeah.
He started the Bitcoin Mom.
Yeah.
Got me involved.
Yep.
I mean, the amount of influence my dad has had on Bitcoin that isn't associated with him. A lot.
He's the guy.
A lot.
He's the guy. So who was it first? Was it Brooke or Jack that you got into Bitcoin first?
Well, me.
Right.
Yeah. So we, so.
I was like in high school though.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. So.
I think, I was finishing up high school.
That much. I mean, we talk about it a bit in the kitchen with you.
Well, do you remember when I actually asked about it? Because I had a classmate. So, okay, context is I went to college for like 90 days, way less, 45 days. And, I came home and entered like a coding boot camp. Mm-hmm. And one of my classmates, we all had to stand up, introduce ourselves, and, what are you going to work on? I was like going to build a way for NBA officials to have to own up to horrible calls they would make or something, right? And then some guy gets up and he's like, I'm going to work on Bitcoin. It's this money that's going to be better than the dollar. And we were all like, what the hell? So I came home and I was like, hey, yeah, so school was good. I was 18 years old. I was like, yeah, school was great. Like, we learned this. And this guy, like, crazy man, was like talking about this Bitcoin thing.
Exactly.
And dad was like, how do you know about that? It wasn't like, oh, that's so fun. Like, go to bed and breakfast is in the morning. It was like, say that again. You know Bitcoin? Yeah. It was like that.
Really cool. Well, going back, going back to that fall of 2013, we pulled that stunt with all the kids. This was when you could use Bitcoin to buy a gift GYFT card that you could then use at major retailers. So we put the gift app on all 6 kids and a couple of other
all 6 kids and Scoop
and Sarah and everybody went down to North Michigan Avenue to go shopping with their gift cards that we had funded with Bitcoin, because at that point Bill had bought Bitcoin really low and then it was shooting up. It was like $1,100, $900 around that, and so we felt like it was free Christmas. Mm-hmm. And Bill, that was so cool. We just sat at a restaurant on Michigan Avenue, and the kids did all the shopping because they had like paired up with Secret Santas where they had to buy presents for each other. And Jack would text us, okay, I'm in the line at the Nike store and I really want to get these shorts for Betsy, but I need more money. And Bill would just like shoot him some Bitcoin, refill the card.
That one.
What's that? Yeah, there's the picture of all of us with our Casey with all our gift cards on the phone.
That's amazing. And, family shopping.
Spending Bitcoin though. Back in the day.
So how much was that? Oh my gosh.
How much Bitcoin have you spent?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, we can go through an array of things.
How about the bike? Bill asked me to buy. He said if Bitcoin hits 400. So when was this? Late Christmas 2016.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Maybe 2015.
Might have been earlier. Yeah.
When Bitcoin hits 400, if it does, you can go buy me that bike for Christmas because we have a local bike store that accepted Bitcoin, and that was 7 Bitcoin.
I got a good one. Okay, so I'm living in my apartment. So this is a year ago, and Bitcoin's at what, like 20,000 or so now. It's 18 months ago. Okay, so we have the painting that we paid 6 BTC.
Well, that was an auction at the Latin American Bitcoin conference that we won, and the money went to charity, to BitGive.
Okay, so 6 BTC?
Yeah.
So I have it up in my apartment, right? So mind you, I'm like 23, and I'm living with a buddy, and the buddy's like, what is that? And I'm like, dude, actually believe this. I know Bitcoin's $20,000 now. But my parents bought it for 6 Bitcoin. So that's actually a 6-figure painting if you twist your words right. Right? No. It gets funnier. So he goes, okay, that's amazing. And now he would bring chicks over. He'd be like, yeah, we're actually art connoisseurs. We're actually art connoisseurs. And, yeah, that's actually a very expensive painting done by the Satoshi Nakamoto, artist on Twitter. Or something.
That's so funny. Well,
what do you got to say about that, Dylan?
Nothing.
But there's also we kind of felt it was our duty back then in 2014 when these retailers would come online and accept Bitcoin. And we felt it was our duty to buy things with Bitcoin. So we did buy the proverbial patio furniture, and
we'll let that painting go,
Bitcoin.
By the way, for 10 Bitcoin. If you want.
Yeah. I want to buy the painting for 10 Bitcoin.
Bitcoin Mom's famous.
Bitcoin Mom will sign it.
Right.
I don't know if it's correct, but somebody was telling me a story of somebody who was on the Wrecked podcast, and it was right back when Bitcoin first started. Something crazy like they bought like a wizard's cloak for 6,000 Bitcoin.
Oh dear Lord.
Something stupid like that.
Oh no.
Back when it was worth like nothing.
That's when those
I don't know if
stories
it's
get
true.
sad.
Oh my gosh.
I need to research that one. So it's the first time I've ever rolled a spliff while making an interview.
Oh, I don't know how to do it.
I haven't done it in 15 years.
I don't think anyone knows how to do it here.
So this was back 2013.
In 14.
So you followed the run up.
We did. What was interesting is sometime in late 2013, I came across a video of Andreas Antonopoulos at a conference in Greece called Disrupt. And if you guys just Google Disrupt and Andreas and watch that video, and you will suddenly have your aha moment, which I did. So here we'd been in Bitcoin for a few months, and I thought, oh my gosh, now I totally get it. The revolutionary potential of this to change the world and lift billions out of poverty. And oh my head was spinning, and that was great. So Andreas tweets out, coming to Chicago. Anybody I'm holding a meetup? So I look up all the meetups in Chicago. No one's holding a meetup, Bitcoin meetup. So we had one. We just had one in our living room, and invited. I think we had 35 people, and I invited Andreas, and we had no idea if he was going to come. I was kind of nervous about it actually, and then it was Sunday afternoon, and at 4:00 he tweets out, going to Bitcoin Mom's house to meet my Chicago peeps. And I looked at Bill, I'm like, oh my God, this is like a rock star coming to the house. And he came in on this freezing. It was Siberia, right? No, what they called it was like 20 below or something.
12 out, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And he came in, and I didn't want him to feel the pressure to talk or anything. I just wanted him to be a part of our community, part of the meetup. everybody gathered around and started asking him questions. And he sat on our couch in our living room on a cold winter night for 4 hours, and no one wanted to leave. And it was like I said this earlier and you guys made fun of me, but it was like a 19th century salon where people were discussing abolition or something, or women's rights or something incredibly revolutionary. It just felt, I still get chills thinking about how wonderful that night was.
Nobody wanted to leave.
Nobody wanted to leave.
I kept going. I kept trying to take Andreas off the hook. I was like, well, getting late. And then he'd answer 5 more questions and we'd be there for another hour.
And this was also right when Mount Gox was imploding. So people had a lot of questions.
It was exactly right when I think it went down
the
like the next
day. Was
day.
when 2-Bit Idiot announced that, broke the story, as I recall. So yeah. Did
it.
Is that what you do? You still have it.
15 years.
Yeah.
Still got it. That's fine.
You're so funny.
So
by the way, this is really low THC. So the psychoactive effects are going to be lower.
Okay.
The CBD effects, which are the health, I'm a big fan of.
So I'm going to get healthy from it.
Healthy.
So did you have coins on Mount Cox?
No.
That was good then.
He's got tell him though. So you used to tell me that you wanted to be bullish, you wanted to bid way earlier than you actually did, but you saw Mt. Gox from a mile away, just from being on exchange floors your whole life. And it wasn't until Coinbase came out when you were like, all right, if Andreessen is putting this thing on his back, then it's time for me to get along, right?
Oh, no, I appreciate the compliment, but really anybody from the financial industry, everybody that, regardless of your background, certainly saw a lot of handwriting on the wall with Mt. Gox.
Yeah, something was really
fishy.
Bill would always have all the charts up, and he's like, something funny's going on.
Well, they had a premium.
Yeah, they had like $100 premium because they always had banking problems on withdrawing cash.
Yeah, but clarify, $100 premium is like common today. $100 premium back in the day was like over 100% premium, right? It was like 2x plus, right? So that was like it was some like the vomit worthy premium.
Yeah, for sure.
How is it different today in 2019 back from say 2014? Because I wasn't around then. I don't know what the community was like. I don't know what it felt like. How does it feel different today?
We've all felt on the same team, definitely. You'll hear people say that over and over again, especially if you were active on Twitter. The people that you got to know on Twitter, many of whom have become really good friends of ours. And I could always tell if I really like someone's personality on Twitter, I don't know, do you find this? If you really like someone's personality on Twitter, you find that actually they are the same in real life. Are you filming that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a live stream.
It's a live stream.
What?
Yeah.
What?
We need to blaze this up. So do you know what I find? People say to me they find me very different from what I am on Twitter. They find
really?
They find me much nicer.
Well, that's often the case.
Yeah. What I tend to find in real life, most people I've had an argument with, if I meet them at conference, we become friends straight away. There's only one time that's never happened. I met 2 people I've got blocked at Bitcoin 2019, absolute trolls. We ended up like hanging out and hugging, unblocking, and just getting on. So I think most of the Twitter stuff's just nonsense. There's only one person when I was out in Berlin. This guy started trying to troll me in real life, and I was just like, "What are you fucking doing?"
How do you troll someone in real life?
I was just saying the same shit he says to me on Twitter. Like, you're giving a platform to frauds. And I was like, oh, mate. So anyway, I walked away from that one. So yeah.
I think it's so interesting that you are trying to piece together the whole history of what, we all have like battle scars. And I can tell you after, starting around Mt. Gox, starting with those congressional hearings or the Silk Road thing, Bitcoin always felt like it was facing existential threat through, there was always something, things as mild as like the blockchain, not Bitcoin stuff. It was like, I remember permission ledgers are going to kill Bitcoin.
So I learned to code right after I dropped out. And I would be working on the couch, just whatever. It was Bitcoin. It started to get really Bitcoin focused at one point. And I remember looking at the chart, and I'm working on like a change tip plugin for free. and Bitcoin starts to fall under 200. And mind you, it was like 1100 when my dad's like, this thing's interesting. And I remember looking at it like, is this thing going to go away? And then I'm going to have to go to college and introduce myself as a freshman that's like going to be 40. I was like, oh my God.
What's wrong with 40, Jack?
Nothing. But you know what? I remember running up to my dad's room like, hey, is this thing on? Like, tap, tap. Is it working? And he was a bidder, best trader ever. Falling all the way down there, I was like, Dad, should I apply to college? He was like, hold on 1 second, I'm on Coinbase.
I think that first full bear market's scary for anyone. I mean, I've just really experienced mine. I did some CFD trading of Bitcoins back in 2013, and I made on the way up and lost it on the way back down. I was like, oh, whatever. And forgot about
CFD?
it. Contract for difference. It's like you're not really buying Bitcoin. You're making a bet on the movement of Bitcoin. Okay. They're not legal here in the US, but we have them in the UK. So you can do like leverage plays, kind of leverage bet on what's going to happen. So I made money on the way up, lost it on the way down, and forgot about it. And then every now and again we'll see Bitcoin in the news and the prices drop more and more. And then, it's like you say, got down to around 200. I was like, oh, that thing's dead. And then it started to go back up, right? And then I got back in. And now I just had my first kind of bear market. That first one's quite scary. That when you really live through it is quite scary. And I think if you can come out the other end of it, which, I have, and I know some people haven't, maybe some haven't, but if you can come out the end of it, then you're in.
Well, you have to, put the PSA in here right now, which is never invest more than you're willing to lose, right? So, yeah. No, I know.
No, I didn't invest more than that. No, I didn't invest more than I lost, could afford to lose.
Yeah.
I only put 32 grand in. I lost more winnings than my emotions could take. But it doesn't matter. Look, I've got this podcast now. We're here. It's fine.
No,
it's not a problem.
Great.
So, you talk about the battle scars. Mm-hmm. So what are you, I guess everyone has different
Well,
ones.
I'll tell you, when people from the, traditional finance, like, oh, that stuff, that's a casino. I go, what, were you around, like, say, in 1987? That took 90 minutes to take close to 20% off of the stock market. How about the currency markets? During the 90s, and how about the grain markets during the drought? Or the flood. Whoever thought the Midwest would flood? Mm-hmm. And, I was a risk manager during some really dangerous markets, and crypto, I don't think is in character any different than some of those financial markets.
What about you?
What were you saying? What are the battle scars?
Yeah. What are the main battle scars?
I personally don't have battle scars, but, I really, the 2017 Civil War really got to me. I got really involved. I renamed myself really early on the UASF mom, but it spent a lot of time trying to understand big blocks versus small blocks, and I really, we tried we didn't line up ideologically in the beginning. We really, were trying to wade through these waters to see what. And I don't think I understood everybody's motivations on both sides either. But that was a battle I felt like I normally am very, very non-contentious on Twitter, right? I'm like pretty nice and diplomatic, and I don't promote companies, and I don't take sides, and I don't, get into fights. But that one I felt was bad.
I think if you're kind of new into Bitcoin, I think you can see both sides, the big block argument and the small block argument, at first touch and go, oh, they both make sense. Like you can see a perfect. Sure. I can fully empathize why people think big blocks make sense. Mm-hmm. It just maybe over time you learn a bit more and you get a bit more educated. But I can see how people then go off into a certain camp and then get indoctrinated into the cult of that camp. And I think both can be cultists at times. But I think it's very easy to get drawn in. And I certainly during it didn't fully understand. I kind of kept my Bitcoin and sold my Bitcoin Cash, just gut feel based on who was supporting each project. It kind of was like, well, you've got Jameson Lopp over here. You've got various developers over here. You've got Andreas over here. And then over there, you've got a kind of Roger and a bunch of people I don't understand. So I kind of my gut feel was based on who I trust. Mm-hmm. But I see how people got lost in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then you see what happened to that. Can I tell you a little irony?
Yeah, go on.
You might have to edit this out.
No, definitely not. Loose lips is
Loose
out.
lips cookie.
Here we
Loose
go.
lips cookie.
No, I'm not going to tell any of Jack's secrets. But
Now they're going to want to know them.
No, I know. No, just kidding. Because of that fork, we used the BCH airdrop to fund Jack's Zap company, or not company, whatever your efforts, right? We had to helping Jack basically not have to.
Bitcoin Cash is like probably funded. I mean, it's funded difficulty swaps and derivatives.
Yep.
It's funded
Yep.
Lightning stuff. It was funding a Bitcoin core engineer at one point. So Roger, no matter his intent, created money out of thin air and gave us the best money in the world for it.
Right.
And allowed us to fund and help
Right.
Bitcoin a lot.
Thank
you, Roger, for supporting Bitcoin.
got converted to Bitcoin.
Do you have any more of those monies that you create and pay me
Got
for?
some really revolutionary new things.
Create a
we
new
wanna
one.
fund.
The purple one.
That's actually hilarious. What price did you sell Bitcoin Cash at?
At first, I didn't feel confident enough to split the coin, so I was like, no, I'm just ignoring it. And then I can't not do this.
Oh, you did it. I
did.
did. Yeah.
I did. I think my best was 0.12 of a Bitcoin.
Wow.
I think
That's pretty
it was a
decent.
pretty good trade. What, you think I did better? Oh, Jack's pointing upward. Maybe
Mine
I'll
wasn't
have to look
great.
and see.
Mine was. I sold. I think around $400. I sold it pretty quick.
I started pretty low, and then
I can't remember the Bitcoin price.
never the super high. Like when he pumped it up to 4,000 for his Bloomberg interview, that was too late. But I just love at that same time, Lightning's going to take. Lightning people keep saying it's going to take 18 months. It's vaporware. It's never going to happen. And meanwhile, we're funding a very active application, and Jack was able to quit his normal job and work on Zap full time. It was great.
What was the normal job?
I've had one normal job in my life. I was working at a startup in Chicago. I was hired to be an engineer, but then ended up evolving into like leading the product. So design and product and engineering.
You have a patent, don't you?
Yeah, there's a patent for it. So the company was, I wouldn't say struggling, but a little bit confused, like we all get. Mm-hmm. And I built a solution on the weekend. I'm like the most competitive person, right? So if I do something, I do it all the way. And so I built something on the weekend and I proposed it to them, and it turns out it was really, really successful. And they put a patent in my name for it.
That
Yeah,
was
sorry,
crazy.
I'm like distracted.
Why?
I don't know. That was a fat wine pour.
Yeah.
That was a lot of wine.
That was good.
Sorry.
This is my Joe Rogan episode because I never normally drink.
Oh yeah, don't do yeah.
No, we're going to do everything.
Oh my
Can
goodness.
you imagine having a whitey during an interview and just like passing out?
You can tell I'm resistant to this, but go on.
So I think that I just love that story that Roger Ver helped.
And Jihan.
And Jihan have helped finance Zap. I think that's incredible.
Yeah,
He did. It's the best thing
It's
ever.
the best. It's
That's going to be the title of this show. Roger Ver finance Zap.
Finance a lot. Like miners are going to be hedging like
You want to
difficulty.
talk about that?
No, but
sure?
like no, and we even funded at one point a Bitcoin core engineer. So there are lines of code thanks to Roger. It was really it was really the craziest thing though. I used to describe to my friends. They're like, "What do you mean you got money for free?" I thought this is not how it worked.
Oh, I know.
I'm like, no. Check this out. So let's say I created money out of thin air, like my toenails. I clipped my toenails and I was like, here's some new money. And you said, well, no. Well, I can't do anything with your toenails. I can't exchange it for any goods. I can't pass it on. I can't exchange it for $1. So no thanks. He's like, no. I'll give you my toenails and then I'll buy them from you. That's what happened. So it's like, oh, thanks for this fresh batch of toenails, Roger. And you'll pay me in Bitcoin for it? How lovely. Thank you so much. I can't wait for next Christmas.
Oh, God. Oh, the ironies.
I'm not going to follow that. That was really...
Yeah. Well put, Jack.
That's the second time you've used toenails, though. It always comes back to toenails.
When did I use it?
You said it earlier when we were here earlier.
It's my go-to.
It's your go-to
like
financial instrument.
nasty thing. Yeah,
Nasty
they're trading
instrument.
high by the dip on my
Oh
toenails.
my God, we just got back from San Francisco and we've just been talking about gross things for like days. all the horrors that we witnessed.
The new Call of Duty zombie map is San Francisco.
Yeah.
Defeat all the shitting
naked people.
naked
Oh, so
apocalypse
sad.
of zombies with the new Call of Duty.
I had it today when the Uber was taking me to the airport in LA. So we're driving on it's not like a free, we call it in England a dual carriageway. It's not a freeway, but it's like 2 lanes. Mm-hmm. So we're coming under this bridge and he starts beeping. I look up. There's a woman just walking down the center of the road. Like she looks at him like he's an idiot for being in a car in the road, and she's obviously messed up in some way. He drives around and comes back, and that's kind of rare in LA, something that bad. But I was blown away by how bad San Francisco's got. I've been going to San Francisco
here.
now for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
First time I went was it was like 11 years ago, and I had the most amazing time. No problems, didn't see anything. And every time I've come back, it's got worse and worse. And I was staying up at Union Square, went for a jog. You saw my tweet. I went for a jog, and I thought I was in an episode of The Walking Dead. And it isn't just seeing the rows of tents or seeing rows of people, and it's really, it's sad and depressing. But, you could be outside Walgreens, and there's like a dude shouting at somebody who isn't even there. And then you get to the bottom of the street and there's somebody begging. It's somebody said it to me recently. San Francisco is now 10% dystopian future.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is. And we have a terrible homeless problem here in Boulder. But I feel like you saw us.
They
walk-
seem like
we
nice
were walking-
dudes.
Those guys, they're like, love you, Mom. I mean, they love us. They're sweet and they're, and I think they're relatively well taken care of. It's a huge problem.
Would you say there's a difference though? Like, for me, it felt like in San Francisco, there was a lot more people with mental health problems and probably a lot more people on drugs. Yeah, drugs and mental. Well, it's definitely mental health as well.
Well, it's usually always,
Yeah. Why is there such a huge problem? What's happened? I can't understand it.
I have no idea.
San Francisco?
Yeah.
Well, just in general, guys. I mean, it's just, in San Francisco, people have said that it's gotten so expensive to live there. So you have some people who are, homeless because they can't afford to live there anymore.
No.
But there's a lot of mental health issues, insurance, the whole healthcare. Don't get me started on how they treat mental health. And we have 6 kids, and I swear 4 of you guys have anxiety disorders, right? I mean, really.
Yeah, I do.
Jack gets panic attacks. We have a daughter right now who's being treated for pretty severe chronic anxiety. So it might be something about this generation, but I don't know. Don't ask me to
I had,
talk macro on this. It's too hard.
Chronic anxiety and panic attacks back from where my
Really?
drug. The first one came from drugs. So I told you I had a drug problem, and then I went through 2 years of really bad anxiety, and then a panic attack probably once a week. You think you're going to die. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, Jack has had
I've
that.
had ambulances
Oh, wow.
out. I had it even once on the tube in London, where I collapsed on the tube. I thought I was dying, and then it's so shit. So they end up taking me off the tube. By the track, they take my shirt off, and I haven't got a great body. And then they bring the paramedics down, and I'm getting an ECG in rush hour, London.
What?
Like everyone walking past me, I'm like, God, fuck, can I die?
What spurred the panic attack? Claustrophobia?
Nothing that one. It just bang, just hit me. Really, after my separation, my divorce, just everything changed. I tell you how I got rid of it. I don't know if do you run?
You got rid of it?
I do.
Yeah, I got running.
Really?
Yeah, running. I went to the doctor and they wanted to prescribe me antidepressants, and my brother has them. He's never got off them, and every time he's trying to wean himself off them, he's got depressed again. So I got in the car afterwards and I just Googled alternatives to antidepressants, and the 3 things that came up with were running, yoga, and meditation. So I did all 3. There's an app called Calm, which I use when I had really bad panic attacks. But I just got my trainers on and I pretty much ran nearly every day for a year. All went. And that's what worked for me. I mean, I don't know. Do you run?
You do run, right? Jack?
Yeah, I run.
Yeah.
I play basketball.
Does it help?
Jack's a pretty great athlete. but
Yeah.
he's-
Are we talking about my panic attacks on podcast?
We don't have to.
No, we
We're talking about
can't.
mine. People might help people.
Oh, it does help people, actually.
Yeah. No, I've had panic attacks forever.
Yeah.
I
What do you do?
remember during the panic attacks or just in general, because anxiety is not binary, right? It always exists.
Right.
So yeah, it's. I mean, people that struggle with mental health, myself included, you have to just constantly maintain whatever it is, running or your diet. But you're always just taking care of yourself.
And there are times, as you know, in high stress. We've been giving Jack CBD. I know it's helped Bill and me. That's a discovery we made when we moved here to Colorado. And we take it every day. And buying this company here in Boulder was extremely stressful. It took a really long time. And the CBD, I wish I'd had it raising all those kids.
I was going to say.
Because it is so amazing how steady I am. I cope with stress a lot better. And here's just a little tip, everybody. CBD works best if it has a little bit of THC to activate it. It has to do with the entourage effect of it, the whole plant. And so we take every day it's a tincture, 20 CBD to 1 THC ratio. And I think it helped us so much. So anyway, for you, like, I think the CBD is really helpful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to take it every day. It's not an instant
I
effect.
live in Chicago. I don't have
No, they just legalize.
Is it different there?
They legalize marijuana. And you can take the hemp-based one that's legal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've gotten much better over the years for sure. It used to be much worse.
Of course.
I used to not be able to go to my first classes in school.
Yeah.
It was days from. So obviously the listeners know that my parents are divorced, right? So Brooke is my stepmom. We went over that story. So the days where I would have to go from my dad's house to my mom's house, who I don't get along with too well, I physically couldn't leave his car and go into a class.
Right.
I would go to a specific teacher and I would just have panic attacks for about an hour and a half straight.
Yeah.
And I didn't take history and English or something in seventh grade.
You didn't go to class till noon.
Right. It was only, so it used to be really bad.
This is middle school.
Now, it's fine. Now if, Stacey Herbert told you, someone calls me a autistic 14-year-old virgin, I'm okay. I'm much better.
Wait. So someone said, was that in the comments when you were on the Kaiser report?
Oh, it's the best. So mind you, no one ever really cared about what I had to say until recently. Maybe that somehow that gets maybe forgotten. But this is all new to me. The Magical Crypto Conference was the first time I ever spoke at one of the big conferences.
Right.
That was that derivatives talk. And I was so proud of myself. And I thought, man, I don't know if I did well, but I know I didn't blow it. I know that the audience
you crushed it.
Audience was laughing and I was cursing up there. And so I know I didn't blow it. And so I went back and I watched it on YouTube. As egotistic as that may be, I was like, man, like this is so cool. And I'm looking at the comments. And I'm talking about, corn farmers traditionally hedge themselves through derivatives. And that was a very Chicago thing, agriculture, hedging and derivatives. And so I'm walking through how corn farmer hedges and how Bitcoin miners need to hedge a lot. There's a lot of things, an array of products that need to exist. And in the comments, someone goes, hey, I just sat down. I'm halfway through the presentation. What's this guy talking about? And someone comments, oh, it's just some 14-year-old autistic virgin who's trying to put corn on the blockchain. and I thought it was so funny. Like, this is the first time I'd ever had any trolls or anything.
That's quite funny trolling though.
Yeah,
that's good.
I was like, fuck yeah,
Corn
I'm
on
a
the blockchain.
autistic virgin who puts corn on the blockchain. You're damn right.
You know what? Like, when you get trolled, I don't mind the really, really insane ones. Like, the ones, like, I've had one, like, people laughing at my mum for being dead or telling me they want me to get cancer and die like my mum. But those ones, I'm like, whatever.
I'm so glad that doesn't get
Yeah,
you.
well, it doesn't because
that's awful.
no, because when it's that shit, you're just like, they're just insane. There's something wrong with them.
Right.
It's when somebody says something like, "Oh, I listened to your show, it's rubbish." I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
Oh, of course.
That really
right?
gets to me.
I know.
You're a rubbish presenter.
I used
like
to,
the soft ones because you think, "Oh, they really mean it."
Isn't that a fun irony though?
Yeah, it is.
Most 25-year-olds will tell you some story about how their ma tried to make sure they didn't take drugs. Jack can tell stories about how his Ma told her, you need a little THC to properly activate the CBD. That's a pretty cool mom.
Yeah, she's a pretty cool mom.
Oh, man. That trolling. I only got trolled. I've only had to block a couple people, and one of them was this account during the Bitcoin Civil Wars in 2017, who was on the big block side, and his account name is Twatter. Yeah, and I'd say something like, something about UASF or against the SegWit 2X, and he'd get on there and he'd call me a retard, and I'm like, do you talk to your mom? You kiss your mom with that mouth? What's that phrase? And I couldn't believe it, so I had to block him. But I've never blocked anybody else except the Bitcoin.com account.
Well,
I didn't want to see their tweets anymore.
Bitcoin mom's everyone's mom, so they can't talk to you.
Very
they
sweet.
can't talk to you like that. Some of these people are just great. I have about 2,500 people blocked.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
No, I know.
He takes it hard though.
Yeah, but I
Peter's
give
gotta
it.
get some
You
credit.
get so. I mean, it makes me cringe the things people say to you.
Yeah, but I give it
my
out.
goodness.
I deserve some of it. But some of these people just get a bit crazy. I don't know. They just
Everybody, he's really nice in person. Please don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, you've invited me into your home now. So. You're gonna have to let me stay as well now. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've drunk.
Yeah.
So.
No. Yeah. You're not driving.
We're gonna blaze this up. Next up, I talked to Brooke, Bill, and Jack more about Bitcoin and cannabis. But before that, I've got a message from my amazing show sponsors. So first up, I'm going to talk to you about Dropbit, the best mobile Bitcoin wallet in the world. The one that I've become kind of addicted to using, actually. It's something I'm using quite regularly now. Have you downloaded it? Have you checked it out? You must have heard me going on about this on Twitter or on the podcast. You definitely need to try it out. They first told me about it. They described it as the Venmo for Bitcoin. And whilst we don't have Venmo here, whenever I'm in the States and we go out for dinner and people are like, yeah, pay me with Venmo, I've kind of got my head around what Venmo is. And yeah, Dropbit is like a Bitcoin Venmo. It's the easiest way to send and receive Bitcoin that I found. They allow you to do it by pasting addresses. You can text Bitcoin to people. You can even tweet Bitcoin to people, which I've done a few times. It's super cool, and the UX is amazing, and they've also got loads of cool, exciting things coming. I'm talking to the team regularly, so I can't wait to tell you about that. I've loaded up my wallet for my trip to the States, so if I see you out there, if you meet up with me, if you want some Bitcoin, come up to me. I'll send you some from my Dropbit wallet. Anyway, go and check it out. It's available for the iPhone and Android. Just head over to dropbit.app, which is DROPBIT.app. And lastly, but never ever least with my sponsors, is Accointing. And with Bitcoin back on the rise, back over $12,000, looking like we might get an all-time new high this year. I think we will. Kind of excited about that. But if you are making some good gains and you want to get your tax affairs in order, then Accointing is the software for you. It isn't just a crypto tax solution, though. They have this amazing portfolio manager, which allows you to sell the right coins at the right time to reduce your tax burden. They've got amazing UX. And if you're going to take your tax seriously, then you need to check them out. They are the lowest price tax tool on the market, and you only pay at the point you download your report. So there's no excuse. You definitely need to check it out. You can import your data from all major exchanges and wallet providers. So come on, go and check out Accointing. They're at accointing.com, which is ACCOINTING.com. So let's do the weed story,
Oh, sure.
because that's half of the story. I already know the show is going to be called Bitcoin and Weed.
Well, the weed story you have to tell starting back when I was growing up.
I think we have
because
to.
the transformation.
We have to have
we have to
this-
smoke
we
it
have to
first,
smoke
it.
and
Oh,
then
We have to at the same time.
Guys, I don't get high.
Yeah, well, you tell you. How can you tell Jack to get high?
I'm
and
not
then-
telling him to get high. I'm telling him to take CBD.
with a bit of THC.
Yeah, but you won't. There's no psychoactive effects at that level.
You're like a modern day Howard Marks, aren't you?
Who's that?
The weed guy.
Oh,
Used to bring it in on the plane.
I don't know. Who
You ever
that
seen
is.
the
like a
film?
modern day e-way.
So, but
First
this
off-
is legal now. What we're about to do is legal.
Oh yeah,
and not
in
breaking
this
the law.
state, it is legal. Right.
It's fucking great.
I mean, cannabis is illegal in the U.S. at the federal level.
Yeah.
It is Schedule 1 drug. That whole history is so fraught with injustice and racism that anyway. So, but it's legal here in Colorado, and I don't know. It's how many states have at least medical marijuana? It's like 47 states have recognized that the voters have recognized that they believe that it has some medicinal benefit. Schedule 1 drug means at the federal level means it has no medicinal benefits, and it's up there with what else is up there? It's high. I mean, it's worse than cocaine. It's worse than meth. It's worse, which is ridiculous. So anyway, so Jack's talking about the transformation. I mean, we raised these 6 kids who were all teenagers at the same time, and our house was the house that everyone came to because we just had an open door policy. Jack always had tons of friends. Yeah, so social.
Listen to this. So when I was in middle school, our house was just the best. I mean, the coolest dad in the world. So on Fridays, it was a competition though to get to the house first because my dad would go on these notorious historic Costco runs. Yeah, because my parents were divorced, right? So it was some weekends I'm at Mallas, and then some weekends I'd go to Dad. So at Dad's house, we'd load up at Costco. We had rope swings and my whole middle school class or high school class would come over. And so in middle school, it was a competition to get there because he would make so much food off his Costco runs. Right. And if you showed up too late, if you were the 50th kid, you weren't going to get any of the bourbon chicken. Mm-hmm. So it became a competition.
Not real bourbon. That's just what it was called.
Yeah, it was microwavable. But it became a competition that kids would start ditching their classes late or faking injuries. Yeah, faking injuries. Yeah, oh no, because so my mom lived about a block away from our middle school and my dad lived about a mile and a half. So kids would start ditching their 9th period on Fridays when Jack was at his dad's house, just to get the bourbon chicken, be first on the trampoline, or be the first to play basketball in the backyard or whatever.
Our house was insane. I walked into a frat house going.
Yeah, no. And so then kids would start ditching. And by the time I got home to my own house, like the bourbon chicken was gone. I'm like, fuck, I can't ditch 9th period. I just not how I was raised. So I'm like, all right. So we would get out of 9th period and someone would fake an injury. So we'd walk to mom's house and be like, hey mom, Kieran really fucked his ankle up. We can't walk all the way to dad's house. We got to get a ride. So then we started getting a ride and we would be driving past the kids that ditched 9th period. Like, motherfucker. It was before Uber. So, right. And we're like,
of course,
got them. So it was tactical back in the day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The craziness of that house, we just sold the house. And so it's kind of sad that it's closed, but, we were going to sell it for Bitcoin, but no one would do that. Do you remember when you chased those kids out of the alley because your sisters were having a 7th, 8th grade middle school party and those guys came and tried to sell weed to those guys? But
you set me on the job.
Right.
Hey, you doing anything tonight? Would you mind just standing in the backyard and watching for someone trying to sell drugs to my daughter?
Right.
Yeah, sure, mom.
Exactly.
That's my turf.
What do you mean?
If anyone's going to be selling drugs around here,
it's Bitcoin Mom.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Get off my turf.
Exactly. But sure enough, here come the 9th graders trying to sell. Right? Wasn't it the freshmen from the high school coming over and trying to sell weed to the middle school kids?
Was it? I don't. I only remember my age.
And so you guys, I thought it was you guys chased them out of the alley. So I remember that one time you had that friend that came over and he had, I'm like, Jack, the kid reeks of weed. I don't want him in the house. I don't want any of that in his house.
Yeah.
And it was very uncomfortable. We had kind of a contentious, Jack and I would say had a contentious relationship on some of that stuff. But at the time it was so stressful because we just didn't want to be that house. There was another really popular house in our town that was kind of known for the big parties and known for the parents that turned a blind eye to the underage drinking and drug use. And we didn't want to be that. The cops were called there all the time. Well, we didn't want to be that family. We wanted to be the family, what?
Not only that, but I didn't drink or smoke or anything all throughout school. Yeah. So it wasn't not only that, but kids would come over and be like, all right, we want to try weed. And they would leave out of respect for me. I was like the only kid. So it wasn't
the irony.
The irony. Now, trading Bitcoin and slinging dope.
You don't do that.
Yeah, but it wasn't only just parental, but it was the culture of the house we had.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we had to protect that culture. And so we really had to make sure it was a drug-free, alcohol-free home. And I think we did a pretty good job. I think it's sort of like at the end, kind of gave up on the last ones who, so that has been quite a transformation for how we raised our kids. And, chasing that out and making sure we tried to stay the house that parents felt safe sending their kids to, right? We really guarded that. We still had the police called, but that's because someone be on the tram screaming in obscenities or something.
Usually noise more than any other problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's get into the weed business. Okay. So you told me that it was originally to do with Bill.
Yes.
So, with sleeping problems?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened? What's the story? How did you discover weed, and how does that then mean you suddenly own 4 dispensaries and
4 grows.
4 grows?
And a genetics lab and a seed company.
Genetics lab?
Yeah, it's a
Oh
big
shit,
company.
we got so much to get into here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start.
Oh no, I've always had problems with sleeplessness, and
Sorry.
What?
We can cut
Peter's
this.
asking for a lighter.
Can we have this?
Oh, you can.
Can we
have
really
that.
do this in your house?
Yes.
I don't know. And then part of me doesn't want to. Should I? What do I use? Just use this as the ashtray?
I'll go
Is that
get
just-
an ashtray. All right. So
right,
I'm
well.
curious because this is one of our strains and it's high. This, like I said,
CBD?
it's mostly CBD.
What do you mean?
You're not going to get super high. No, you're not going to get super high on this. And so, and I like that.
It's going to ruin my credit on the show.
No, you have a, come on.
Hey, what do you think of my rolling skills?
Oh, I'm impressed. I
Yeah.
have nothing to compare it to.
Well,
I was such a goody two shoes growing up. I'll tell you.
You want to
okay,
turn your
ready?
chair? I worry sometimes
All
that
right.
you're too far.
All right, there you go.
I'm such a lightweight. I'll probably be completely smashed.
Oh,
on
now
the
you're
nose.
not going to be able to run this podcast. That's the thing.
No, that's fine.
Take a
That's good.
picture.
This
Then
is,
we'll just take it over.
Picture.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Get
so-
a picture of this.
So, Bill, you're having sleeping problems.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of my Bitcoin friends said, try.
What? He's filming him right now. Oh, my
You
God.
filming me or?
Picture?
I was
Jack's taking a picture of Peter right now.
sorry.
Smoking CBD.
You can carry on the story.
Yeah, go on. My bad.
Are you posting it?
No, I just wanted to have
You
it.
just want it
Oh,
in
so
the
funny.
future.
Wait,
Right.
let me go back.
We're
Wait,
friends.
I don't want to, talk too much, but part of the problem was moving to this elevation, which we didn't even expect to live here full time. So we live here at half time. Anyway, so when you go your whole life living at almost sea level in Chicago, as Bill did, moving to a mile high, the effects of moving to this elevation are pretty severe. So it's nausea, insomnia. What else?
Right. It's a weird kind of nausea. Normally, you associate nausea with stomach flu or feeling. I feel fine, and I couldn't keep food down. I'd have to step out.
Yes. Everybody's taking a time. What do you think?
Yeah. So one of my Bitcoin friends, Crypto Rick, just said, in order to deal with your sleeplessness, your nausea.
Shout out Crypto Rick. We
Yeah.
love you.
Have you tried cannabis? I go, nah, I don't. My generation, I grew up in the 70s where everybody's parents smoked and your house smelled like an ashtray. And I don't want to smoke. And he goes, oh, no, come on. They got edibles or,
Or tinctures or
Yeah.
cartridges. Yes.
yeah. So we just walked into the dispensary and I just said exactly that. I go, I can't sleep, but I don't want to smoke. And they were so enthused about finding a
Solving
solution
his
for me.
problem.
Like, okay, try it now. If this doesn't work, come back and we can, tweak it and try something different or try different this. And I was so impressed with the quality of the staff, the knowledge they had.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever built a business, that's not an easy thing to do, particularly a retail business, which has all sorts of, salary constraints. I can't, not everybody can get, executive level salaries. And here people just on a front line talking to a tourist and, we're so engaged. And, I just love that business. And we kind of got to know the staff of the
We'd
place.
keep coming in and, hey, Bill, are you sleeping? How's it going? And they started calling us mom and dad, even before any of this.
Weed mom.
Someone called me that. So one day we were at the coffee shop next door and one of their managers came down, Carrie, who we love so much. And I'm like, why don't you guys accept Bitcoin? Bitcoin seems like such a great solution for the cannabis industry, which is
credit cards
all,
as a sport.
you can't take credit cards. You only can accept cash. And she said, well, the owners have been trying to sell the place, and they don't want to make any changes to anything. And I looked at Bill and I said, oh my gosh, it's for sale? And we thought we were retiring here. And retirement's boring, guys. You got to have something to do. And we're only in our 50s, so, that's retirement seems a little premature.
Yeah,
right?
A bit early.
And
that is not a hint for grandkids, by the way.
No, God, no. No.
Noted.
Done with kids right now. Bitcoin Mom says done with kids. So sorry. Anyway, so we started the process of buying this company, and it was the most onerous process you can possibly imagine. It took 8 months.
Is that because you have to get some licenses? All right.
Regulatory stuff, like it'd be easy to open a bank.
No, I think the motivation is good. They want to make sure, and I think I agree correctly. There are elements in the cannabis business that they want to keep out of here, and they want to make sure that any type of criminal or corporate or something isn't just recruiting a local couple to front for them. So they really they interview you very thoroughly.
Our first, I can't find it, but our first application, which is called the pre-suitability application to the state of Colorado's Marijuana Enforcement Division, was at least 600 pages and took me, several weeks to compile all the documentation. They wanted actual copies of our college diplomas from back in the early 80s from Duke and Northwestern. And, which, of course I don't have anymore. But then it's financial records, and they want to look at every,
are you financed by somebody that we don't want in the business? And I go, so I actually have this in my Bitcoin scrapbook. I had a state regulator ask me the following, goes, how are you going to pay for this? I go, well, I'll probably liquidate, some of my Bitcoin. And she goes, where are you going to sell it?
No, she said, when are you going to sell it?
When
are you selling your Bitcoin? And I was like, I'm going to see when the price is the highest. It's like,
Mr. Mallas, when top, sir?
Yeah. Why? Do you got a resistance level you're looking at?
Yeah. Do you have an account on BitMEX?
Where am I going to sell it? I've been trading since 1977. I'll take care of the money. But yeah,
they did ask a lot of questions.
Invasive.
Really, really invasive. Yes. And so that's just pre-suitability. So you get approved to it. And then we were fast tracked because we have a squeaky clean record. I think I had a speeding ticket back in 1991. So then you do the purchase agreement, all this stuff. And then you do a new application for changing ownership to the state of Colorado and the city of Boulder. And that process was another 600 pages and another tens of thousands of dollars. And that process takes anywhere, as they told us, 6 weeks to 6 months. So, yeah.
It took a long time.
Yeah, it took a long time. So we finally were approved for ownership in late January. And so we're really new to this business. We're not pros. We obviously aren't pros. We bought a viable business with fabulous staff. Excellent. There's 65 employees. Our executive management is unbelievable. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I'm focused more on the medicinal side of things. But.
Do you have to accept cash because you can't get banking?
Correct.
Well, yes. Many cannabis companies can't get banking because the banks don't want the feds to come down on them. Okay, because it's a Schedule I drug.
So how does the conflict between federal and state level laws work? How can you be legal state level but illegal at federal level and not know whether or not someone's going to arrest you? So what?
There you go.
What's going on here?
It's a problem. It's definitely a problem. So
well, it's a problem, but it's also, if it weren't, sketchy and have questionable legal status, I doubt that a guy like me would be able to get a big part of it. I mean, I think you got to look at it both ways. Yeah, but I think a lot of corporations are not going to be able to access this opportunity for that reason, because they are constrained by legal issues, or they're advised against it by, PR problems. So I try to look at it like a speculator. The only reason I can get in, we got a great shop. The only reason that a guy like me can probably get into this is because there aren't that many. There are a lot of people that do have their hands tied.
Yes.
Investment opportunities that just can't touch it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it is good for the body, and the Bitcoin mom has got into all of the science of it. And it is probably an amazing retirement. But, I mean, this guy's a trader, right? It's almost like it's a call option that will never be out of the money. It's the best. I mean, it's got the most upside. So you like looking at a portfolio, you got cannabis in there somehow, Bitcoin. I mean, those are the type of like never expiry, never out of the money call options. Those are the trades that can be generational. So
if your investors want exposure to cannabis, I think there's maybe 2 Canadian companies that you can take a look at. Tilray or
Chronos.
Yeah, and I dabbled a little bit there, but you can't really you really want exposure in this business. It's not easy, because of the legal status.
Right. We're in a fortunate position because we're licensed in a legal state that we get people coming to us saying, we want to do research on the cannabis plant, but we don't have the licenses to touch the plant, but we have all the equipment to test it. And we can do all the genetic stuff and so they, sometimes come to Colorado and talk to us about that. At least, that's we have a company called Colorado Seed Inc. And that's used to be just selling seeds. And now we're pivoting because we've got fabulous scientists working there who are doing some great work. We'll probably know in a year how well that's.
No, you guys are going to get tired of hearing me analogize between, Bitcoin several years ago and cannabis now, but didn't every Bitcoiner 5 years ago have to hear, oh yeah, that's kind of sketchy, arguably illegal, somebody's going to shut it down. That's the same thing you hear about cannabis nowadays, which, as Jack says, I'm a speculator. That to me is an opportunity.
But it's a completely cash business though. Like, you don't have to tell me the inner workings of the company, and if that exposes too much, don't answer. But
no, we'll tell you.
Do you have to pay the staff cash?
No.
Okay.
Not
Used
anymore.
to, yeah.
Used to.
But then if you can't, we
have a bank account.
So you run it out of a personal account.
No, we can't have a personal account.
So you run out of a business account, but you have to take cash in.
The business account has to stay away from our personal account.
But there's
so we have
Brinks
our company.
trucks.
No, we don't. Yeah, I can't. I don't want to talk about OPSEC, but
no, just in general, like in Boulder, if you on a given day, you'll see Brinks trucks lined up like the TV show 24 or something. Like there's a robbery, like Batman, but they're just responsibly transferring 6 figures in cash, like
to
all
the
the time, right?
Right. So our deal is we do the prior owners waited 10 months for a bank account at this one particular bank. I'm not sure I should be naming it. There's one particular bank that specializes in cannabis. It has state charter. It's a good bank. And they were very kind to transfer the account to us when we took ownership, because otherwise we would have been screwed and we would have gone back to the whole stacks of cash on the table, pay all your vendors in cash, pay all your employees in cash, which is how they used to do it. Very dangerous. And in fact, our CFO said one day, I used to be really nervous about working here because I knew how much money was in the safe. And, but now really, that money gets taken up to the bank pretty quickly. And we also accept debit cards, but crypto is a great solution.
Yeah.
And we do accept Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin, or other coins that we'd be willing to shapeshift back to Bitcoin. And we're the rarity. We sometimes get people coming in saying, I've got a solution for you guys to help you accept crypto. And we're like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, wrong.
We're all right.
Rob door.
Yeah, we're okay.
Right.
Yeah, because a lot of those are kind of like they're payment processing wonky workarounds that make it possible for the store to just basically quickly turn it back into dollars.
What kind of weird things have you learned about since moving into the industry? Because obviously you come in cold.
Yeah.
You basically know it's about getting higher, maybe medicinal, but you've obviously gone into, like, an example for me being is that when I was a kid, you basically bought weed and you smoked it. Mm-hmm. But now you have all different types of ways of consuming it, drinks, gummies, whatever. Yeah. Name me a few of the things that you've really learned about the business that have surprised you.
Quality of the customers. You think, Well, no, you think you run a pot shop, you're going to get dropouts or counterculture types. No, not. And you get tourists, you get high end. Right. I mean, I love our customers. I like hanging out in the shop and.
Right. Well, we also have a store up in Lyons, which is called the Bud Depot. And that's the last dispensary on the way up to Rocky Mountain National Park, which is a huge tourist destination. And we get everybody there. Yeah. Everybody. That store does so well in the summertime. It's funny you ask, because this weekend coming up, there's a big Grateful Dead concert here in Boulder that attracts a ton of people. Wow. That is
When is it?
It's on Friday and Saturday. And 5th and 6th, I know. And it attracts, that is the biggest sales weekend. Is that weekend, because we get so many people that come, and our store is right in, the most touristy part of Boulder's main drag, which is called Pearl Street. And so you see everybody. They're old guys, many, people our age, older, who, gosh, I haven't done this since the 1970s, or only doing it for this weekend. You also, outside of that, because the University of Colorado is here, it's a huge school. So then you get all the parents coming. And no, I won't tell that story, but you do get, all right. Should I?
Loose lips cookie.
No.
Loose lips.
Should I tell the story about how I ate a gummy and I ended up in the hospital?
If you want to.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Well, you already told it, so now you
there you go.
Yeah.
But, okay. So, I did not take a drag off that. I swear this is me. I took a bite off a gummy, but forgot that I did it. And I thought anyway, I woke up in the middle of the night. I thought I was having a stroke. I could not move my body. I honestly, I couldn't speak. I scared the hell out of Bill and our daughter. Yeah. And they called the paramedics.
Yeah. Dad was like, call me. Hey, cookies are going to be okay. From what? What happened? No, she just ate a gummy.
But I didn't know it. So
you had a California gummy. You didn't wait.
So the paramedics come. They ask if I've taken anything. I can hardly speak, and I can't move my body, so they have to walk me down the stairs. They put me on the gurney. They put me in the ambulance. I know they gave me an IV. Poor Bill and our daughter get in the cop car and get taken to the hospital. They give me a CAT scan, because at my age, they think you're having a stroke, right? So, no, everything's fine. I'm fine. And they finally put us in an Uber at 5:30 in the morning to come back home. And I'm coming out of it, and I look over at Bill and our daughter, and I go, oh my God, I did take something. Like, I took a bite of that gummy that helps people sleep. And Betsy said, oh no, not that one that was over there. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, that's the one I had from another source. And, that was 100 milligrams. I'm like, oh my God, I thought it was the 10 milligram one. So I took 50 milligrams of that stuff. And of course I was like, being the lie, but completely gone. So, but this is all back to what we were saying before. I was embarrassed that this had happened, but the next week I happened to run into but don't tell me how, but I won't tell you how, but I ran into the nurse who had treated me in the hospital, and she goes, how are you doing? You look familiar. I saw you last week. I said, I'm so glad I ran into you. I said, you asked me if I took anything, and yes, I had eaten one of those marijuana gummies, and it was way more than I thought it was. And she's like, I knew what it was. I knew that. She said, this happens every single night. All the parents that come in to bring their kids to University of Colorado, like, oh my gosh, I'll try an edible. So they take it, they eat it, nothing happens. They wait 20 minutes. I'll take some more. Nothing. Because these take like an hour to hit your system.
And then boom.
So, cautionary tale.
Talking about the things you've learned about it, the things that amaze you, but the quality of the customers. Do you think that's because people are just still excited they can do this? They're like, wow, I can go in the shop and buy some weed.
Yes.
Yeah. I think so.
It's more, though, the people that enjoy cannabis and that it helps is not what is portrayed to you. Is probably the more.
Oh, for sure.
Why don't you get a bunch of college dropouts and drug addicts on the street? Is because those aren't the only people that smoke weed. That's why.
Oh no, we see every demographic in there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's just can't stereotype it anymore. And I believe that our generation and our parents' generation, Bill's and my generation, our parents' generation, Jack's grandparents' generation, are using cannabis more and more because they're realizing that it really is very, very helpful for so many things that ail you.
So what kind of balance between medicinal and recreational customer do you think you have? Is that given too much?
That's a good question.
Good question.
Yeah.
Here's a little secret. There's no difference between the medicinal or the medical and the recreational stuff we sell. Any place. Everybody's like, oh, if you go into the medical store, you're getting much better quality. No, you're not. You're able to get it a little bit cheaper. Taxes are lower, and you get more
the dose is
quantity.
higher.
Dosage is higher. Exactly.
But it's the same weed.
Same weed. We grow the same plants. So what else has surprised us is that the taxes on the cannabis industry are so crazy high that nobody in this industry that's mom and pop like us is making money.
Oh, really?
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, of course, though, right? Like, what's the incentive for the state to legalize it?
Just for tax,
State?
yeah.
Of course.
Right.
But
yeah,
why
state is
taxing it to a level where you can't make a profit is kind of
70%.
well. That's
It's
that's
syntax.
Crazy.
It's an interesting way to put it, though. It's they're not taxing it so that no one can make a profit, right? Like, interesting, you won on that trade. You must have done that because the other guy on the other side lost. It's like, no, I didn't do that for him to lose. I did it for me to win. The government. They're speculators too. That's an opportunity for them.
Of course, they know what to tax high. It's cigarettes, it's alcohol, it's
Gambling.
gambling.
Yeah.
They know it's the vices, right?
Yeah.
So it's another vice, but is it taxed disproportionately higher than other vices?
Here's the problem. There is something called 280 regulation at the federal level, so that you cannot deduct in the course of running a business of trafficking drugs, and this goes back to, you have a different history than
Prohibition,
I do.
I think.
You think prohibition. I heard that it was from the 80s, where a cocaine trafficker was trying to deduct his business expenses and his and Congress said no, and so 280 will not allow you to deduct any business expenses that are involved in the sale of your product. So no advertising, no everything that everybody else deducts. And
Salaries, rent, everything.
Salaries, rent, advertising. It's
You got to pay taxes on.
We pay so much taxes. It's crazy. So this is kind of a bet that it's going to get legalized, and that be 2-3 years, hopefully, that the 280E regulation will go away, and we'll be able to be treated like a real company.
Is there a significant alignment between Bitcoin and the weed industry, or is it just because you're in both that you see the two together?
Oh, probably the latter, but I definitely see the two together, right? Sketchy legality, not exactly, acceptable, but, that's where there's an opportunity. In my mind, I see them, they seem very similar to me, but I'm not the only one that's drawn analogies between crypto and cannabis as something that, your kids someday will see as completely natural,
right?
But was viewed as you were viewed as kind of a leper if you were into crypto 5 years ago. And it feels that way with cannabis now. Yes. Yeah. Isn't that a drug, or just say no or whatnot?
That's a good way to put it. It really does have that.
Yeah. Well, that's where you find opportunities. Well, if everybody agrees that that's a good thing to buy, there's not that much upside in it, right?
But is there, like, for you guys, is there a preference to accept Bitcoin over cash, or do you not care either way?
No, we'd rather accept Bitcoin.
Much rather
but
accept
the problem
Because
is
you're not carrying the cash?
Yeah, cash is expensive it's not saying you got a big safe for it. When you swipe a QR code, it lands in the in the cloud.
In the Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah, Bitcoin wallet.
Exactly.
It's secure.
Way safer, but the
Way
problems
safer.
are that, one, nobody has Bitcoin to spend. And two, if they do, they don't want to part with it, right?
Yeah.
Because they think it's going to go up in price. So we have 10% discount if you pay with Bitcoin or any crypto. And so that's sort of an incentivizing strategy. I can tell you, though, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on this one, because crypto is a great solution for the cannabis industry while it's still primarily cash. But as soon as the U.S. Congress passes this Safe Banking Act, which they probably will by the fall, they're going to make it possible for banks to feel safer to bank the cannabis industry, and therefore we will probably be able to accept credit cards. And once that happens, that's a lot easier. So we're going to have to, then accepting, pull out your credit card, you're going to probably spend more than you normally do if you're paying with cash, and certainly more than if you were paying with Bitcoin. So I'm not quite sure how long this use case is going to last, but talk me out of it. I'm not sure.
Who, me?
Anybody.
No, I think it's a very bullish thing that Bitcoin falls in last of what people prefer to spend on a consumer good.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course it does. Well, I look in my wallet. What's the best money, and what's the worst? I'll spend the worst
law, right?
one.
Yeah, good money
that's
drives
bullish.
out
That
bad.
means Bitcoin's working. It's won the hard money, good money game.
Yep.
That thing's only $100 or that thing's 0.01 Bitcoin. I mean, that's a totally different conversation. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
I want to keep the Bitcoin.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
It's the best money.
So what is this banking? Is it something in the Senate?
Yeah, there are a lot of pro-marijuana legalization or at least pro-marijuana bills that are before the U.S. Congress right now.
Do we know how much money they've made on tax so far, like per year?
At
Nationwide?
the U.S.
More than
level,
me,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I did have some guy tell me that the U.S. is not going to let go of that 280E regulation, even if they do deschedule it, or that's going to take it reminds me of people who are exonerated in prison for a crime they didn't commit, and they've been on there for 20 years. But so they're suddenly exonerated, but they don't get to walk out that day. It takes a long time to be able to really get them out. It feels the same way. As soon as Bitcoin. See, I do this. I do Bitcoin Cannabis sometimes are the same word to me, which is kind of interesting. As soon as cannabis is legalized at the federal level, then it won't be immediate, suddenly, oh my gosh, we get to really, take actual deductions on our business. It'll take a while because the government doesn't want to part with those taxes.
Is there anything going on at the federal level at the moment? And what is the status of regulation?
Yeah, the next election. That's what's
Okay.
We're hoping.
Yep. Yeah.
Most of the Democratic candidates are pro legalization.
Everyone knows that the president of the United States, that's just the highest form of marketing job that you have. So they're marketers, and whoever wants to be the president of this country is likely going to have to side with the substance that everyone is using to improve their lives. So all of the details of what's going on at the federal level depends on what journalist and media outlet you watch at night. But what's actually happening is, whatever marketer is going to pitch themselves to run our country is going to have to co-sign to the rest of the world's innovation.
That's really interesting.
Good
So it's quite interesting that we in the UK tend to follow US elections pretty closely. Mm-hmm. We're really interested in them. We're really interested in the presidential rate. Personally, I'm less interested in the nominee or the candidate debates. Probably because the coverage is lower. So they're campaigning at the moment, preparing for 2020, right? And they're looking to pick a candidate out of, the 16 or something I read? I can't remember. Do you know how many candidates there are?
You know what? We are the least political.
I am blessed with an inability to give a crap about.
But you give a crap now.
Well,
only about that one issue.
It's a benefit from growing up during Nixon's presidency. I just don't care.
Right. No, you're asking how many candidates there are on the Democratic side? I think there's 25 now.
25.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And you think that's a real point scorer against the Republicans?
Actually, I think you'd be an idiot if you were Republican. You mean in terms of cannabis reform?
Yeah.
I think that you'd be an idiot if you were a Republican and decide to take the other side of what Jack would say, take the other side of that trade. No, everybody's got to be pro-cannabis. I think it's going to.
Post-2020.
I think both sides.
And that changes the business significantly, you think?
Well, tax-wise it does. It also allows us to ship out of state. And we are preparing. So we're preparing for that. We're doing some things.
Well, if you got long Bitcoin years ago and you think it's going to go up, well, why? What's the actual trade? When do I cash my Bitcoin in for more than I bought it for? And, everyone's got their narrative. The ETF, Black Swan event, hyperinflation, whatever. I mean, for the marijuana industry, the trade that you are looking to maximize is definitely one of the lower hanging fruits is the taxes. If I go from paying, 70 plus cents on the dollar to 20, then what are the returns on that trade? Right.
It's amazing.
Plus the ability to expand your business, probably online.
Yeah, right. Like you got to think
we can ship.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a company called Colorado Seed Inc. So if you are suddenly, I need seeds, I'm, a new grower in Illinois or whatever, I wonder where I can get some good seeds. You might Google. This is a little simplified fantasy, but I'll bet they have good ones in Colorado. I'll Google Colorado seed and we're going to come up first. So we have a lot of, potential that way. Also shipping out of the country because Africa is going to probably be the next great agricultural mecca for cannabis growth. So
it kind of feels like it's coming everywhere. I know.
Isn't it?
The conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, the conversations are changing slightly in the UK. We've had 2 incidents recently of parents who've had highly epileptic children. They've been away. They've bought weed. I think it's in Amsterdam, and they've had it confiscated on the way home. One boy who had seizures, and another girl. I'm not sure what happened with the girl, but with the boy, the Home Office, the Home Secretary actually turned around and changed their mind and said, okay, we're going to allow him this time because this kid was risk of seizures. Mm-hmm. But there's a real pressure, certainly on the medicinal side. I'm feeling in the UK, I'm hearing about things in Germany or, various countries. I feel like it's almost like a generational shift. I think there's a bunch of people who don't want it irrationally. They don't fully understand the arguments for it. And it's just generational. Like my dad still doesn't get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what you just said, if you were to edit and snip that soundbite, that could apply to the Bitcoin or cannabis, right?
Sure.
That's our whole point.
Right.
How many Peter Schiffs are there on Twitter that just simply were born too early to ever learn how Bitcoin works and why it's helpful?
Oh, he's just being
or
stubborn.
cannabis, right? Like interchanging.
Doesn't sound like a justification for a major investment. Doesn't it feel like this is going to change? But that doesn't feel like something you would base a major investment on. But it does. It is part of our attraction. It feels like time's up for the just say no crowd. Mm-hmm. And there are medicinal benefits, and it is a healthy intoxicant. And
it's way better than alcohol, you guys. I mean, I love my wine, but anyway, alcohol is a poison.
It's not going to ruin your liver. It's not going to poison you.
I don't think anybody's ever OD'd on cannabis when they talk about it as a
well,
gateway
you
drug.
have, but
I did.
Yeah, you did.
But OD'd, died. I OD'd.
nobody but you.
But my mom OD'd on
The two worst things you can put in your body are the two
Cigarettes
ones
and
that
alcohol.
are legal. Yes.
Yep.
Tobacco and alcohol. People are always going to intoxicate, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a way to enjoy. And but the only two that are legal are two poisons.
Right.
And that's what we think cannabis is a good answer.
I have friends with cancer. So I have one dear friend with stage 4 cancer, and she's on her 4th round of chemo. And this stuff helps. It really helps with pain. It helps with nausea. It's a plan. I mean, as Bill always says, it's like cutting your grass and taking your grass clippings and turning them into some magical substance that,
Well, this was a dumb thing. When my mum was dying, we wanted to give her the cannabis oil to trial, right? Mm-hmm. So we had to buy it online with Bitcoin from, a kind of website. And that was the only way to do it. So amazing proof that Bitcoin is brilliant. But the problem is we were still buying it from someone we didn't know, right? We didn't know, we didn't try. Right. We had to just go with our trust with no consultation, no advice. Whereas if it was legal, we would walk into the shop and say, this is the situation we're dealing with. What would you recommend? And you would provide you would explain it to us so we would know what to go away with. So you professionalize it. And you're professionalizing what is really just a plant.
You. That's what we do.
Yeah.
No, that's
but
really,
it professionalized it. And that's actually what the Silk Road did. I felt like the Silk Road professionalized the drug market.
Absolutely.
And it made it better for everyone. It was
safer.
Better and safer. Yeah, it made it safer. When you were buying, you knew what you were buying. The sellers were reviewed. I mean, everyone values an online review.
Correct.
It was safer for the dealers because they're really. I heard about an operation. A guy I know worked from Vice. He went out to an operation. It's just a professional warehouse packaging and shipping it off. I kind of felt like it's better for the government because that's a whole bunch of people they're not criminalizing and having to fight against, which shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That sounds like a manifesto there. I went on a bit, didn't I?
Yeah. And they were accepting Bitcoin, so they didn't get taxed 1,000,000% on the dollar.
Well, that's true.
So it was good for everybody.
That is true. I mean, the irony that, so in our store, you saw when we were in the store earlier, Cryptograffiti, we bought a print from Cryptograffiti that is an homage to the Silk Road that Ross Ulbricht started. And it's a wonderful print. And the fact that we're able now to hang that in our dispensary where we can sell cannabis legally, and Ross Ulbricht is serving 2 life sentences
plus 40 years
in a supermax down the road it makes me, if you don't want to cry, you have no heart. That's utterly unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with Tatiana yesterday. Mm-hmm. You must know Tatiana.
I love Tatiana.
Yeah, we were talking about this there. It's yeah, and the worst thing about that whole story for me as well is, it was used to set an example. And the guy set up the Silk Road 2, which was actually a worse site. They served like 7 days or 14 days.
Oh, right.
Something.
No, he did.
Yeah.
Well, no, about days. He just got a much tinier, like tiny.
Oh, I think it was days. It was days. Yeah.
Well, there's someone else who got like a 5-year sentence or something for his dark market. Yeah, no. They that was a complete travesty.
So really, this business it's a hedge, right? You're making a bet. You're speculating on law changes, and it doesn't seem like it would make any sense to reverse all this now. They're not.
I can't imagine, but my God, you never know.
They've tasted the tax dollars.
There's that. I mean, at the state level, no. I think at the federal level, who knows what Trump would ever do? He's just so impulsive, but
follow the money, right? We pay so much in taxes. I mean, that's the thing that saved, my last business is the futures industry paid a lot of taxes. So we were able, to fend off any, regulatory problems. Mm-hmm. Because it's probably employ a lot of people. Cannabis industry employs a lot of people, pays a lot of taxes. Right. It's good business for Boulder. So I think that's our shield. I really don't worry that much about abolitionists because, like I said, cannabis is a really big money-making business.
I'm just going to have a look up. I want to see how much it is.
Oh, yeah, good. You're looking at...
Yeah.
It's about $1 billion for the state alone. Sorry.
Follow the
money. I'll save you the time. It's
so
about $1 billion in taxes.
And what's what's the budget for the state? Do we know what the budget is?
I don't know, but I know that it's been a huge boon to the state. It's supposed to go to education and road building and all kinds of therapeutic benefits for,
They're not going to get rid of $1 billion.
Nope. Oh no, and that's the state. It's the federal level that is the kind of the challenge.
How many states is it legal in now?
47 for medical, and I think 13 or something in the teens for recreational. Right. They call it adult use.
Yeah, I mean that's moved quickly.
Oh,
I guess each new state's going, look at that.
Well, every state, Illinois just legalized it with their new Governor Pritzker, and you have to look at the tax revenues in a state like Colorado, and then Illinois is broke, and now they're gonna, I hope they do it right.
And I guess there's a number of people aren't even then drinking and getting into fights and ending up in the hospital. Most people just go home and have a smoke. And
right, exactly.
Chill out, right?
Exactly. Think about it.
Your state's broke. You want to raise property taxes, they're going to leave. You want to introduce riverboat gambling, that's kind of predatory. Or you want to let them smoke weed? I mean, I think it's really more a money thing than, just say no generation. These states are, Illinois is broke. You have people, we're very fond, of, school teachers and you guys pension going to be there? I don't know. I think cannabis is a great solution.
It really is. I mean, my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also one of the things along with Bitcoin where the younger generations grew up with no bias. So people my age are so comfortable with drugs, know everything about it, things between cannabis to Xanax to all of it is so accessible, right? So it is also one of the things where the people that are such strong veto against are going to end up dying, like literally. I mean, seriously, and people that grow up and are native to it and, oh man, you have a final and you're stressed out, you should really take a puff before you go to bed. Or, Bitcoin in the same way, where those are going to be the people. One of my good buddies ran for mayor of Chicago, right? He's a guy in my generation, and those are the type of people that are going to run the world. So eventually a lot of the stigmas and the vetoes are going to quite literally die.
So it's all Bitcoin and weed, and you guys are right in the middle of it.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Can't believe I married her, right?
Yeah,
Bitcoin,
right.
weed,
Like,
can't wait.
goodness,
It's going to be psilocybin next.
No. Well, no, I actually believe in psilocybin, low dose, microdose, sorry.
Of what?
Magic mushrooms.
I've never done them.
The low dose, now I'm not a big,
Submitting a BIP on
sorry.
life.
Yeah,
lip.
Thank you for putting
Life improvement
A lip.
proposal, microdose mushrooms.
I'm not going to go there right now. I forgot.
Is there anywhere where that is legal, either for medicinal or
Denver?
Well,
no, they decriminalized, which is different from legalized.
So it's what first step?
Not
Countdown till it's
criminalized.
legal,
I know we have one medical patient at our store who is really good. He's staying alive on that stuff, I swear.
Right, okay.
He's so sick.
So that would be the next step. You'll have a mushroom farm.
No, I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I also heard about MDMA is now being tested or prescribed to soldiers for PTSD.
Look at that book that we have over there. It's Michael Pollan's How to Change Your Mind. And Michael Pollan's just a brilliant writer. And it's all about the potential of psychedelics to deal with mental health, to help with mental health. LSD, psilocybin, all under the care of a knowledgeable and attentive. I haven't read the book, but heard it. It's really good.
It's quite a change over the last few years, though, right? Like when I grew up, if all drugs were bad and evil, and now we're moving into a world where lots of things are being reconsidered.
Yeah, it's really changing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we've just crushed an hour and 36.
My goodness.
Without even
have
thinking
some
about
editing
it.
to do, don't you think?
No, not too much. All right, cool. I think we should get some food.
Yes, I agree.
All right, wicked. Anything you want to leave anyone? Do you want to tell them where to come and find your shop, where it is, how to follow you?
So we have the Bud Depot in Lyons, Colorado, and we have Helping Hands Herbals on Pearl Street in Boulder, and I'm Bitcoin Mom on Twitter.
No, thanks for giving us a chance, because this is not a get rich quick or doing something midlife crisis. I mean, I really believe in the cannabis is going to be, it's a business I want to hand down to my kids, and so thanks for giving us a chance.
Anytime, yeah, you're always welcome,
absolutely.
and Jack knows he's always welcome. Do you want to say goodbye?
See you guys. I'll see you on Twitter.
Check out Zap.
Yay!
Do you want to say bye, Dylan?
Bye.
It was Dylan, right?
It is Dylan.
No,
I'm so smashed. I couldn't.
no, you're not
I
smashed.
am. But let's,
Oh, come on. No, you're not.
I'm going to turn this off now, bro. Okay then, so what did you make of that? Did you enjoy this interview? It was a bit different. It was kind of a bit more just of a chat, just the four of us kind of hanging out and talking about Bitcoin, talking about weed, and laughing quite a bit as Loose Lips Cookie let her loose lips go. But yeah, I loved making this, and I really enjoyed finding more about the cannabis industry. It seems to me that as it's become either decriminalized or legalized for medicinal or recreational purposes, the industry has become a lot more professional. Rather than someone meeting you in a car park and giving you a bag of God knows what, of God knows what quality, you can actually go to a shop. You've got a range of products that have been professionalized. You can speak to people who are experts about cannabis who can help you find the product that's right for you. It's not really something for me anymore. I mean, I don't really have a need for smoking cannabis, but I don't have any issue with anyone else doing it. And as I said, in the intro, I still think it's quite ridiculous that a plant can be illegal. But yeah, it was a great interview. It was great to hear about the early days of Bitcoin when Brooke and Bill first got involved, how they introduced Jack, and also just seeing the alignment between Bitcoin and the cannabis industry, battling regulations and people's own opinions on legality, use case. It's very similar to Bitcoin and it's going through very similar kind of changes. So yeah, that was super interesting. And again, I just want to say a massive thanks to the hospitality they showed me for inviting me into their home. They took me out to dinner and they really looked after me. So thank you so much, Brooke. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Jack. You're always welcome on my show. Also, I just want to say a big thanks to anyone who supports the show. Doesn't matter what you do. If you just leave me a review on iTunes or click on the subscribe button, everything you do helps me grow the show. I'm not going to go through the list of items now, but if you want to find out more, you can find out on my website. It's whatbitcoindid.com. Click on the support section. You can become a patron. You can leave a review, as I said. You can follow me on social media. Anything you do that helps me grow the show, I massively appreciate. So thank you so much. As I mentioned, I'm back off out to the States tomorrow. I feel like I've only just got back home, but I've got a bunch of interviews and meetings I need to do. I'm going to be hitting New York, Chicago, LA, San Diego, San Francisco, and Washington. I'll try and meet as many of you as I can. If you want to hang out, let me know. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Anyway, have a great week, and I will see you on Friday.